Good morning, YouTube. So today I'm actually going to a barber expo in Detroit. So it is 5 a.m. right now. Tired, but I'm gonna get ready so you guys can come along with me. So let me go get ready and then we'll be on our way. Bro, on our way to Detroit and all these cops pulling up.
So beards are different. So some facts to begin with here about how beards are different. Number one, we have less sebaceous glands on our face than we do on our scalp. With that, we have less sebum oil production. And sebum oil is extremely important, and it's very different with a beard. What sebum oil is the lubrication for comfort and for health, right? And here's an example where you can prove this. Any of the guys out there with beards, go a week without taking a shower, right? Some of you may already. Now just observe it. I'm glad that the rows are spread out a little bit here in that case. But just observe the differences between your head hair and your beard. After a week, your beard is going to be a dry, brittle bird's nest. Your head hair is likely going to be a greasy, nasty mess up here. Very, very different. And the reason why is we have less sebaceous glands and less sebum oil. And what happens is when your beard grows out, that sebum oil in the hair, beard butter. That is something that's for deeply nourishing the beard. I prefer to use beard butter at night. Go to bed, you wake up and your beard feels fresh, feels amazing as compared to not, right? Because at night, you're not drinking water. You're not being active. You're just staying asleep. And so having that beard butter is kind of going to work for you. Beard balm is to style, but also nourish the beard. Beard wax or mustache wax is just strictly for style purposes. We should never put hairspray on a beard. We should never put anything that is a bad type of alcohol on the beard, right? There's good types of alcohols and conditioners and washes, but we don't want to put any kind of hairspray that is alcohol-based. And then the last thing is beard conditioner. That's to detangle and kind of soften the beard. All of those are things that can really help out the health and the appearance of the beard. And here's some never-evers that we see and hear a lot when it comes to barbers. Number one, never ever have a silicone ingredient in a leave-in beard product. Beard oils, beard butters, and beard balms should never have a silicone ingredient. Unfortunately, there's a couple of big name brands that use like foaming beard oils or use some of these products that do have silicones. And as most of you know, what silicones do is they coat the hair, they give it a shine, they give it a glisten, but it adds no nutritional value, and it actually deters from the health of the beard. And we can achieve all those things you want with good quality ingredients. If you want to shine, we can find you one. If you want something to be more matte, we can find that. But there's never a reason or excuse to have silicones in a beard, other than if you want that glistening shot in a barber chair, and then they go home and their beard feels worse than ever. We can get that shot in a different way. Another never ever. If water is an ingredient, it's not a beard oil, a beard balm, or a beard butter. We get a lot of these beard butters that are kind of like sour cream consistency. That's not a beard butter. Why is water the first ingredient? Because water is the cheapest ingredient on planet Earth when it comes to cosmetics. It's just a filler. There's no purpose for that. When we have a beard, our main purpose is locking in the moisture, locking in the style. Water's just going to evaporate and go away immediately and isn't going to add any value to that. So if you see a beard oil and it has water, that's not a quality ingredient. We should be looking for good carriers, things like jojoba, like argan, like metal foam. All those are going to be things that there's a million different ones that we can go over there. And then the last thing here is the pH balance of a beard requires beard-specific water-based products such as wash and conditioner. You don't want to use head hair shampoo and conditioner on your beard because the pH is different of our skin and the hairs. It's scientifically different. So treating it the same way is going to damage those hairs. So we want to make sure we're looking for a good quality beard wash and good quality beard conditioner. Luckily, we do have some good beard companies over in the expo today for you guys to check out. And it all comes down to just balancing out those pH levels. All right, beard myths. This one I always find fun because you've probably heard these. You've probably had somebody say this to you. I know we get them all the time. So number one, your beard grows back faster if you shave. I've heard that probably every day for the last 5 years, and it's false. There's absolutely no impact on growth by shaving at all. Where that comes from is the hair is the thickest at the base. Your beards Your hair right now is thickest where it meets the face. The only difference is when you shave it, you see that portion the most when it grows out a day or two, and people think, oh man, it's coming in way thicker. No, it just gets thinner as it grows out. That's the structure of the hair. Life happens, right? On my shirt, my beard is brushing on my shirt. That's gonna slowly start to wear away at it, and it just gets conditioned with life. Your beard's potential peak in men's, what causes your beard growth is this testosterone called DHT. So to grow a beard, you have to have DHT and you have to be sensitive to it. And when males reach their peak DHT levels in sensitivity is their late 30s and early 40s. So what will happen is oftentimes guys at 18 will be like, I'm gonna grow a beard. They're like, I'm not shaving anymore. And they try to grow a beard and it looks horrible. Why? Because they're not grown yet. They don't have their full DHT, their full testosterone. And so they're like, screw it, I'm gonna shave. And they shave for 10 years. And then somebody says, hey, you should try growing a beard. And then when they're 30, they grow a beard and it's full, it's amazing. They're like, oh my gosh, the shaving for 10 years must have made it grow better. No, you just had more testosterone, you're more manly, right? It's the same thing. DHT is what gives you a lower voice, it's what gives you chest hair. That's why these things happen during puberty, right? That's when those hairs start to pop out in places they did not before, which is different than your head hair. So that's a huge, huge factor is guys have that perception that because they shaved, it got better. No, you just got older. That's the only difference. And it can be later. There's some guys that reach their peak in their 50s and 60s even. So growing does not depend on the trim. Same idea here with the trim. If you trim the end of your beard, it'll grow faster. No, that is false. The growth happens from the base, happens from your face. Trimming the end has anything to do with what the hair is doing, right? Our hair is essentially dead skin cells that are stacked together and formed with a nice little outer layer of protection. And it can change the appearance, it can change your perspective. Sometimes on our show we'll see a beard that looks bigger, looks fuller after a trim. Well, it's because they got rid of the transparency. They got rid of those areas that made it look weak. So it's just an appearance and perspective thing, and it can't be healthy. Right, if you have a beard hair that's splitting down at the bottom and starts to branch off, and you trim it, it looks healthier, feels healthier, it's a better appearance, but it's not growing any faster. If you do have increased growth, it's because you probably got healthier, you were eating better, you were drinking more water, you were exercising, you're getting more protein, those types of things in your diet. All right, beard trim mistakes. Now, if there's anything to take away from this class here for barbers, it is these mistakes that we hear all the time, and they're really, really demoralizing. This first one comes courtesy of our friend Steve over here, who he trims his own beard, but for the content, we have both been to a barber once for a significant trim on our beards. Mine, I have a video, it was a local Detroit barber, Tony. I always mess up his last name. He's crazy with the shears. Last name's with an S. I know Tony. Santario. It was a good experience. It was a really good experience, but I prefer to trim mine. Steve went and they took the neckline up way, way too high. And we were like, okay, no big deal. It's gonna come back a couple of weeks, a month later, and it took way long. How long do you?
It really never did. See, I shaved, actually, we're doing videos about growing it back for guys that are starting a beard, and it never filled in. It was like start over.
And we get that all the time. And this is super important for a couple of reasons. Number one, appearance, of course. Right? His had this big looping arch on his beard. It just didn't look good. But number two is the neckline should be trimmed and should be cleaned relative to the goal of the beard. And that's so important. If you have a goal of your beard getting this big, you want to leave that neckline alone, as long as they can. Because what the neckline does is gives you the density, the thickness, and the backing of the beard, right? Our face grows right here, it grows down. But that's a really thin layer. If you want it to seem like it is full, like it is dense, it's that undergrowth that is gonna give you that backing. And if you take that neckline up too high and they're growing it out, it's gonna be like they have a little curtain on their face. And we don't want that. When you see a beard, intrinsically, instinctually, you see a thick beard, like, oh, that's a manly, that's a strong beard. And it's because of that neckline. Now, if a beard is gonna be shorter and they wanna maintain a shorter beard, you absolutely can keep a higher neckline. You can keep that up, but we don't want it to go too high, right? We don't want that neckline to be on the jaw. We don't want it to be something that is going to be impacted where looking at it's just off. But the biggest thing is the neckline should be relative to the goal. If they're telling you, I'm going for a big beard, we want to try and leave that neckline as low as possible, and so they can grow into it. And that is a big difference, I believe, that I'm going to talk about later in the show, is oftentimes a beard, especially when we're talking about males with head hair versus their beards, most males are kind of maintaining their head hair, right? I don't know a ton of guys in my life that are actively growing really long hair. But I do know a lot of guys that are growing longer beards. They're on this journey to grow their beard now. That's a big difference when it comes to like the strategy of how you trim it. So the neckline going too high is a huge, biggest one that we've seen. The next one is less is more. Almost every entry we get to the show that has a beard that went to a barber and they're upset is the barber took off too much. Now there's a lot to this to unpack on the reasons why, right? You have the intentions of the client and then you have the end product. Something disconnected in between there, and there's a lot of possibilities why. Number one complaint is going to the barber and they took off too much. Make the trim relative to their goal, just like their neckline. And again, it's about that maintaining. So what will happen is, I think I have it on a slide about lingo, is oftentimes guys that are going in for their beard, they don't understand how to convey what they want. So they'll go in and say something along the lines of, hey, can I get a cleanup? And for them, they think it's just, or a shape up, right? They think it's just, I just want a little bit off the outside, maybe just on the sides, just a little bit. And then the barber's like, ooh, I see this masterpiece in here. I'm gonna go and shape it the way that I think they want. And then they leave and they're like, they don't want to say something because they're not used to barber shops, and they get home and they just unload on the internet, right? They just say how terrible this is, I can't believe it. But they didn't give you any specifics. But also the barber didn't ask more, right? That's a huge, huge, huge aspect there. And I do know a lot of barbers that when a guy will go in, and I trimmed my beard last night, I only took off maybe a 1/4 inch. And if you were to tell a barber that, there's a lot of barbers that are like, man, he's about to pay 25 bucks and tip me $10 to take off a 1/4 inch. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing this, right? The saying is clippings on the floor, right? I want to see, I feel like I need to have clippings on the floor. And the guy's like, no, I just simply want a little bit off the bottom. And there's that disconnect there. So taking off too much, I don't know if I've ever heard a guy come back from the barber and being like, he didn't take off enough.
For the beard, yeah.
For the beard. I literally don't think I've heard that in 5 years. But I could tell you hundreds and hundreds of stories of guys saying they took off too much. We could pull up our Facebook group right now, and we have people post it every day. And then here's a big one. And I know this is likely a disconnect from many beliefs and a disconnect from the way you approach head hair, but give me a chance and hear me out on this. Trim a beard from the style in which they wear. Do not wash a beard before trimming. Do not tell them to come in with no products. Trim the beard from the way they style it. You know, like the hashtag woke up like this? Well, I did not wake up like this. I went through a whole process to get my beard ready today that included taking a shower, washing it, using conditioner, and afterwards I dried it to a damp-like state. I applied beard oil. I waited 5 minutes to let it do its job. Then I used heat from a blow dryer on the majority of my beard. Then I used a heated brush on my sideburns and my mustache. That's my process. There are barbers that would say, no beard oil, don't do any of that, take a shower, come in. The problem is when I take a shower and I don't use heat, my beard bunches up. It's curly, it's wavy, and it's a different shape and a different length. So then when I go into the barber shop, if he or she was to trim from that point, and then I go in the next day to style my beard, it is unlike anything I want. You need to trim it from the way I wear it. That's really, really important. With the exception of no solid products. You obviously don't want to trim a beard that has a bunch of wax in it. You don't want to trim a beard that has a bunch of butter in it. But you should encourage them to style their beard the normal way they do. Because there's no way possible I could get back to this style if you trimmed it from my natural state. And I see that problem a lot, and that one leads to guys shaving. They feel so defeated, so butchered, because it's not like, they go to style it, and the underbeard's hanging out here. This is doing this. We got whoop-de-whoop and swoopy-swoop everywhere. They end up just quitting and shaving the beard off. So that's really, really important one for here. And again, I know that's often different than head hair, but keep in mind, the beard is different. right? Different texture, different thickness, different sebum oil. There's so much that's different to that. So man, I hope people consider that one. And then, again, I kind of talked about this earlier, most beardsmen don't know lingo. They do not know what a shape up is, a lineup, a cleanup, or a trim, and a lot of guys have egos. We don't like, right, what's the stereotype? We don't like asking for directions. It's the same thing in a barbershop. When guys aren't comfortable, there's not a ton of guys that have huge personalities that are gonna ask you the questions and walk you through it. They're just gonna go in there and really hope for the best. And there's a lot of guys, when the trim is not the way they want, on the inside, they are pooping their pants, but they're not gonna say a word to you. They're gonna keep it cool, calm, and collected and leave the barbershop and then blast you to everyone they know. But you wouldn't even know when they left. So you gotta keep that in mind, that they don't speak up. Have them walk you through what they want, right? For me, I would have said, hey, about a 1/4 inch off the bottom, leave the sides alone, don't touch the face of the beard, leave the mustache alone, have them walk you through it, and ultimately, have them show you a picture, right? There's a million beard styles, a million beard pictures out there.
Okay, so how many people in here do designs? All right, bet. How detailed do we get? Portraits? Do you duplicate?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
duplicate, sometimes original.
Sweet. Are you from here?
I'm from Lansing.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of art. Get
Same
you.
shop.
Yeah, same shop.
Oh, same shop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, let me see you. All right, so when I do designs, where my mind goes, it took me quite some time to be able to come up off the top of my head and freestyle. So if you're going into designs and you can't freestyle off the top of your mind, don't worry. It took me like 6 years to be able to do that. I started doing designs in 2013, 14. My son used to draw them out for me, and then I would copy them down in his hair. So he would draw me something, and I would be like, all right, we'll see if I can get this in there. And it usually always worked, and I began to get a little bit more comfortable with the movement of the clippers and things like that. But from duplicates, then I started looking for inspirational things because, he drew out, my son's a very good artist, and so his drawings got very complex. And I'm like, okay, I can't get all this detail in the hair at the time, Now I've figured out the concept and the things to do to be able to get detail into the hair to that level. He brought me, he drew out like an Aztec guy with like a headdress on it, and I was like, dude, this is like a tattoo. Okay. I said, how about we find a piece of this design, of this picture, and we'll use that as a design. So from then on out, that's what I do. I will go and Google graphic designs in black and white, and the image pops up, and I'll find a design that I like, and I'll use a piece of it. So today, I have a bunch of stuff screenshot that I keep in my phone because I'll use one picture probably like 5 or 6 times. And today, this is the picture. So this picture right here, I'm gonna walk around so everybody can kind of see what I'm Googling. And I'll just Google like graphic art of some sort, things like that. And then from this picture right here, they were supposed to have me a projector. I will take, today I'm thinking about either doing this top piece right here or this bottom piece right here. So I'll take just little pieces of it. A lot of times I tend to veer towards like henna designs. So I'll Google black and white henna art and then pop up, and then I'll take little pieces from like different pictures or whatever. So if you're on my Instagram and you've checked me out before, you'll see a lot of floral leaf art with swirls and stuff. That comes from those henna inspirations. Now I can, if they tell me just to freestyle something, I tend to go towards henna or floral or things like that. Before, when I first started doing it, I went go a little bit more graphic, tribal looking stuff. So today, what I'm going to focus on showing you guys is like just how I come up with my inspirations, and then how I actually go about it, and how I've started, how I get the sharp lines in there, little tricks of the trade to make the lines pop afterwards, how I do my swirls, things like that. So today when I do my designs, I prefer a very fine blade. So it's usually my go-to is a GTX blade of any sort, whether it be Babyliss, Andis, GTX. Wall, unfortunately, has not come out with a GTX blade. So when I used to do wall classes, a lot of times I did not do designs because of that pure reason. It's just not a sharp enough blade for me to get the amount of detail that I put into designs. So, with this being said, let's go ahead and get started. Any questions?
What'd you use before?
Oh, this spread. So, my go-to, my little trick to the trade, so I don't have to use a razor, and this is for my competitors. Before you go up there, if you're going into freestyle design competitions or anything that you're gonna do as design, even your lineup, hit your model with this before you go. When you first get to the show, go to the bathroom, spray your model's head down with this. This is liquid razor. What this does is it dries and brittles the hair out, so when I come through and cut it off, it's gonna be a clean cut. There's gonna be next to nothing that I will have to razor. And anytime that I'm gonna have to razor a design out, I use guarded blades. So this is another trick to the trade, especially if you're competing. Use guarded blades on stage. I'm gonna tell you, from competitor and judging point of view, they will dock you, disqualify you if you have one nick. One tiny nick. Don't let it be showing any blood. You're already out. If the judge seen it bleeding on stage, they ain't even gonna look at your stuff once they get to the back, because they already whispering to each other, hey, y'all see him cut somebody? At that point, leaking. You see him leaking. So, you know what I'm saying? So, your rule to the trade, please use guarded blades. These are very easy, they fit in any blade. I myself, I use a Turkish blade, so it doesn't really have that where you pull it out and put it in, you just insert the blade in the end. It'll hold any type of blade. You can use them with feather blades. You don't have to buy that super expensive feather blade holder. You can use one of these, and they're like $2 on Amazon. And I like them, they're very light. All right, let's get this.
Because you alive, you breathing, you free. You walk, you talk, you breathe. So give thanks first before anything, and then get your day started. But I'm telling you, when you start disciplining yourself to go to sleep later and waking up earlier, you're not gonna have that groggy feeling anymore. You see? You can go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 6 o'clock and feel good, because you already disciplined yourself for that. But you're not indulging in activities that bring no value. I don't stay up and smoke weed because it doesn't bring value to me. I got kids that I have in private school, and those private schools cost. I got college tuitions that are gonna come up shortly. You know, I have an 18-year-old and she's still trying to figure it out. She's like, well, Daddy, I'm just taking a break right now. You better hurry up and figure out that break, because I gotta figure out how much I gotta pay, right? But you got to be on top of these things. So smoking weed and hanging out and drinking, that don't do nothing for me, man. The club don't do nothing for me no more. Bad things come out of the club. Nothing good comes out. You're either gonna get into a fight, you're gonna go home with a woman you had no business going home with, you're gonna catch an STD. I don't know, but nothing good comes out of it. You ain't gonna find your wife in there. Definitely ain't gonna do that. You know, you might have a fling for a couple of years and it might be a lustful relationship, but you're not gonna get no real substance out of that. The very, very small percentage of people that meet in the club and end up in a happy life, a happy wife situation. Very few. You know, so you gotta pick your friends, you gotta pick your surroundings. You got to pick the things that you want to invest your time in. Continuous education is important. Again, go to Toastmasters, YouTube. You can YouTube anything and everything, and watch how other people do what it is that you want to do and learn how to reinvent that. They have a good blueprint, follow it. Don't copy it, follow it. Meaning that you put your own flavor and twist on it. And then you grow from that. That's why I spend my days every morning, because I know that the first 30 minutes of what I listen to in the morning is going to dictate and reflect how my day goes. I can't listen to Young Thug in the morning. I can't. Because I'm gonna handle situations and challenges that come throughout the day differently. But if I listen to T.D. Jakes in the morning, if I listen to Zig Ziglar, if I listen to Farrakhan, my day's gonna go good because I'm gonna be more spiritually connected. I'm gonna be more calm, more at ease. I'm gonna handle situations a lot more kindful, a lot more respectful. You see? A lot more level-headed. If I listen to Young Thug, if I listen to Jeezy, if I listen to, you know, somebody, a situation, something comes at me, I'm more aggressive. Hey man, watch out, man. But you don't gotta talk to people like that. But it's the first 30 minutes of what your intake is. Your intake is negative, your outcome is gonna be negative. If your intake is positive, your outcome is gonna be positive. You're gonna have a positive day, and you need that type of mind in order to reach new levels in life. You need to have a clear, level-headed mind, open mind to get to new places. You can't live in that little bubble and say, this is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I come from, so this is where I'm gonna be at. Well, that's exactly where you're gonna be at. You're gonna be stuck there. But if you realize that the world is big, that there's different flavors, that there's different styles, that there's different people, but we all are people. But we can do things differently, we can evolve differently. There's people that are stuck right in the place that they're supposed to be at just because of how they treat people or how they act towards themselves. And they stuck. Oh, my daddy did it like this, my granddaddy did it like this, so I'm gonna do it like this. Well, just because they did it like that doesn't mean it's the way that you should do it. Because they only reached a certain level, so why would you only want to reach the level that your daddy or your granddaddy reached? Don't you want to surpass them? Isn't the goal to give our children more than what we had? Live to a better life? So it starts with us. Let's give ourselves a better life. I don't want to give my kids just a good life. I want to give myself a good life too. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to bust my ass 70 hours a week just so they can live better. Nah, I want to live better for me too, because I'm only here one time. So I want to eat good, I want to live good, I want to enjoy people, I want to have good vibes, I want to have good time. Right? Respectfully. I want to travel, and I've done that. Listen, man, I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, I've been to South America, multiple times over. And I'm a 4-time convicted felon Puerto Rican kid out of East Fort Myers. If I can do it, y'all can do it. You see? But it's all about changing your mindset and your attitude. Attitude is everything, but your mindset is very, very important. You know, how hard do you want to go for what it is that you want that you've never had? How bad do you want it? And I want it bad. And I want it bad. My time is up, guys. I mean, God bless every one of you. I hope that, you know, I wish every one of you success and life.
Right? There's certain things that people will say that you know will be a trigger for you, but you have to learn how to respond and react to that. So the only way that you can do that is if you're extremely self-aware of who you are. And being self-aware is underrated because people are trying to impress other people. But what I recommend you do is a mind map, right? Yourself in there, and then continue to spread this out like a web and put the things that matter to you. Go back. The things that matter to you, right? Whether it's family, whether it is your personality traits, business, hobbies, and then continue to build out. The other thing I would tell you in doing this, and this is important because this will be the foundation of your business. So the foundation of your business is built on you. When you think of a house, the most important part of the house is what? The foundation, because a house built on sand won't stand, right? So you need a strong rock to build on, and if you know who you are, right, which is the foundation of your business, you can build on who you are, which is why when you hire people, you're hiring people that are in the same mindset of how you want your business to be run, not just hiring somebody because they're chair rent, or hiring somebody because it's another person making money that you can get some money off of, whether you're doing a percentage-based, booth rent, whatever it is. Some people get into business for the business of business, right? I'm not a person that gets into the business for the business of business. I'm a person that gets into business for the people in business, right? It's why I opened up a school. You can't have a school and run a school if you don't like people. I promise you that. If you don't have a mind for people, you can't be an effective educator. If you don't have a mind for people in your business, you can't have a business that's going to thrive for a long time. Because you have to be invested in the people that are working in your business. I'll give you an example. The one shop that I'm currently I still own and I'm working out. A barber's been with me 18 years. It's a long time. The average barber stays about 8 to 9 years with me. Why are people staying so long in my business? What's that? Comfort?
They're not educated on the business side of it?
Nope, that's not why.
Like your professionalism.
My professionalism? Relate.
The way you treat them.
The way I treat them? The environment. So the reason that most people stay is because I'm invested in them. The environment's great, yes, it is a professional environment, but I put my energy and time into the things that they want. And what I mean by that, what was the first thing I asked when I came in here today? What'd you come for? That's who I am. I can't change who I am, right? We were at this little thing yesterday where people were out roller skating and playing basketball. I don't know if y'all know what that is up here. And there were people taking pictures. It was a great spot with a great photo opportunity. And I was like, hey, can I show you something on that phone real quick? And just was taking pictures for people and showing them how to take, because it's just who I am, right? I have a heart and a mind for people. So when people come and work for me, I want to aid. So at the school, I have instructors. I want to be support to the instructors of what it is that they do. But the priority of the school is who? Students. They're the #1 concern of mine. If I'm so concerned about the student experience that when one student is pissed off, I want to figure out how to make it work. But I know that I can't help everybody. I got that, right? But if I aid support to the instructors, it benefits the student. So the school itself got 19 shop owners. We've probably graduated over 300 something students since 2014, last I checked. The shop that I'm currently in, the girl, she's leaving, 19 years. She finally decided to open her own space. And she didn't go look for a corner store front. She didn't go look for a suite, right? She went, broke ground on her land, poured cement, and built a shop. She built a shop. First thing she said to me before, she said, hey, look, she sat down with me and she was bawling, telling me that she was ready to open up her own space. She was like, she said, I have a husband because of you. I have my children, my children are born and they live and they exist because of my relationship with you. Now, without context, you don't know what that means. So I'm gonna give you the context. One of my clients that I was cutting in the basement that traveled and followed me when I started going to school, and then I worked at a barbershop, Champs, became her husband. So through my relationship, she met her husband. Through that relationship, she then had children. She said, I've been with you longer than I've been with my husband. And you've invested in me. It's so hard for me to tell you that I'm going to leave, but it's been the greatest 18 years of my life. And now I'm opening a space, and she said to me right away, I want you to know that I will never take anybody from this barbershop when I open up. Why do you think she feels that way? Respect, honor, integrity. Why do you think she's like that? Because that's what I gave her, right? And so she's also seen where that has happened. And I'm sure many of you see when people go to open up a shop, they take 2 or 3 barbers with them, and there's no integrity in that. There's no integrity in that. And then what happens is, it happened to me one time where I had a guy leave, and 4 people left with him. Prior to that, when he said he was gonna open up his place, he worked for me for 11 years. I hired him out of prison. He had 3 months before he was gonna be released from prison, he called me. I said, I got an empty chair and I will save it for you. 3 months, I could have hired anybody in 3 months. But I saved it for him. He worked for me for 11 years, amazing 11 years. Not how you start, is how you finish. And when he left, he told me he was leaving. He too cried, man, you've been great to do. So hard to tell you I want to leave, and we opened up a spot. I went with him, we looked at the spot. Hey, you should cut this wall out. We found a school that was closing down, bought all the equipment from there. I helped them move it, U-Haul, all that stuff. I'm invested in my guys. I don't gotta do none of that. But I did. And 4 guys left with him. And so when I went to I already asked him, hey, does anyone want to come with you because you've been managing these guys
for the past 11, 5, 6, 7 years. Who wants to leave with you? He says, I'm not taking nobody. I said, if somebody wants to leave with you, let me know now so we can work out how this works so we can continue our relationship and maintain. They've been working under you for 11 years. It's only right some of them are gonna want to leave with you, so let's figure this out. He says, I'm not gonna take anybody, you've been too good to me. So the day he left, I go to the shop, I walk in, 5 stations are empty because his and 4 other stations were empty. This was in a 6-chair shop. So I walked into an empty business, right, pretty much. And I called him up, I said, hey, I thought you said, he said, they didn't talk to you? I said, no. You and I had a conversation. It was your responsibility to tell them no. No. I'm not gonna take you from here. This is where you guys are staff. Or talk to me about what direction you want to go, 1 or 2 of those guys. I'm sharing that with you because integrity is everything. And when you're talking about the mental aspect of people that you're dealing with in your business, these are some of the things that we're not looking at. Do the people that you're dealing with have integrity? You ever talk to somebody who's sitting in your chair and they're telling you all the stuff that they're going through, and you know exactly why they're going through it? Is their mentality, their mindset, right? Because they're not self-aware, right? And they got traumas, and they've learned it from their daddy or their uncle, and they've experienced some of this stuff, and it's just trickling down into their relationships, their personal and business relationships. And you got to be the person that's trying to tell them, like, hey, wait a minute, like, you know why this is happening to you. Is this helping you guys?
Yes.
Good. So I don't want to get into this business stuff, but not only do you need to do that with them, I think there's another thing that needs to take place. It is called a strength and weakness exercise for you. It's a strength and weakness exercise. Why this strength and weakness exercise is important is because you need to identify what your strengths and your weaknesses are. If you can identify what your strengths and weaknesses are, then you can be a little bit more effective in your approach to helping the people around you that you want to help. So let's see if I can get this working with. You have to always be getting filled because you're constantly pouring out. As an instructor, you're pouring out. As an owner, you're pouring out. You're pouring out in a lot of ways, and we wear many, many hats, right? You're a parent, you're a husband, you're an instructor, you're an owner, you're managing. These are different hats that you put on. And then not in every space can you wear a hat. And what I mean by that is I can't go to the airport, right? And the security officer says, hey, Sarah, I need you to step over here. I'm like, I'm the king of my house. You ain't gonna tell me where to stand. I'm staying right here because I want, that authority doesn't work there, right? You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get arrested. I'm gonna get banned from taking a flight with that airline because I can't wear that authoritative hat in that space. And so, you need to get educated on the stuff that you want to do to excel. There are classes, there are different people, and I would challenge everyone, whether you're a barber, cosmetologist, nail tech, whatever it is, if there's something that you want to learn, you have to step outside of our industry also to learn stuff. Some of us kind of get stuck into going to hair show after hair show, haircut after haircut, YouTube video after YouTube video, and you get more of the same. But you need to learn what other businesses and other organizations are doing, other industries are doing, because it really helps you. One of the reasons that I've excelled in my business is, one, I always had a mindset to what was next. Like when they asked me in the newspaper, what do you want to do? I'm going to work at Chance, get my manager license, get my teacher license, one day I'm going to open a school. I already knew that there was much more than just sitting behind the chair. I knew that, right? But I needed to be around people that can help me elevate to that. So I had to be in spaces and environments of people that weren't necessarily barbers, but managers of companies. Tell me what that's like when you're managing, so I can learn how to manage people and personnel, right? When it became owner, I had to step out of cutting behind the chair and work at a school to learn how schools are operated. And not my school, a school. A corporate school that said, you can do this, you can't do that. What does that system look like? I had to learn that. I went from barber supervisor to director of education to campus director. They're all completely different roles. I will tell you, before I opened up my own school, I went to a school and I was the director, the campus director. And when I walked into the school, I was doing what I did with you. I wanted to get to know who you are. So I went to every classroom, tried to get to know the students, listen to the instructors, kind of find out what was going on. And one of the students said, "You're just like every other campus director. You're going to leave too." And that became a theme at that school. So I had to switch the narrative because guess what? I was leaving. I was going to open up my own school. But I tell you what, I was going to give you 100% of myself while I was here. So I had to find out what those issues were. And I remember one day, there was a thing that no one gave a demonstration. So they thought I was just the campus director until I did a haircut demonstration. And I didn't need to do a haircut demonstration. I had plaques on the wall. I won $25,000 competing. I had all this stuff. I didn't need to show them that I could cut hair in my mind, right? But they needed it. They needed somebody they could believe in. More important than anything. This is my campus director, but he doesn't care about us. He's just a campus director. He just cares about his paycheck. So I did a haircut demonstration, and that day, I got everybody's attention. They're like, "Oh, he can cut hair. He's really good too." So then guess what happens? When I asked students to do something, or I needed them to make an adjustment, what do you think happened after that? They made the adjustment. They did what needed to be done. Because what did they feel? And I cared. So in business ownership, people gotta trust you. They gotta know that you actually care about them. Those things are far greater than how well you cut hair. Cutting the hair was the buy-in. As the campus director, when they saw I could cut hair, oh, I can trust him. He can cut hair. He know what he's just not somebody here for a paycheck. He's actually a barber who cuts hair. That's what the students needed at the moment, right? Then I worked with the teachers, and I did stuff with the teachers. I started developing them. And what happened? They began to trust their teachers more because they're day in and day out with them. And they got support from somebody who knows what he's talking about. Trust, leadership, all that stuff. Attitude is a reflection of leadership. So in business, if you don't have good leadership, it's definitely going to affect. So some of these statistics are a little bit old, but I'm going to tell you why. And it's not an and or, it's all of them. Okay. So, but Instagram was really, really good. That has changed since TikTok kind of jumped on the scene. But there's 1 billion active users daily. The important thing is post stories and reels. So reels get the most engagement right now. If you're not putting reels together, you're not going to get the type of engagement that you want. And what I have found in reels, does everyone know what reels are? Okay, sometimes I say that I don't even know what reels are. So what I will tell you to do is you'll probably get more engagement if you do this. So first thing in the morning when you open up social media, Instagram, just using Instagram for an example, scroll through it and engage with it, like a little bit of stuff, about 10-15 minutes, and then post your reel that you already created and ready to drop. The reason why is Instagram is recognizing that you're interacting with its platform, you're liking people's stuff, you're commenting, thumbs up, whatever it is, and then you're posting something, so it's going to help to push that reel just a little bit more. I know that because I got a student, I wish I could put the example up, who himself, he's less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, but he's getting 30,000 views on the reel. He's using popular songs, right? He's using popular songs that are popular sounds that the reels are saying. Now Instagram is suggesting you as you're scrolling through stories and your timeline, hey, make a reel. Guess what you think you should do? Make a reel, right? Just put it up there and just throw it out there. It creates engagement. When I first got on Instagram, the first thing, I took an 8-year hiatus. I left everything, Facebook, MySpace, I was a MySpace barber, right? I left everything alone. Focused on school. Once I got that established, I started doing shows again, and Instagram was the thing. So I needed people to buy in, so I put haircuts up, right? I wasn't concerned with getting new clients though. You put haircuts up if you want clients. You don't put haircuts up if you want attention. You put haircuts up if you want clients. If you look at my page, what do you see? For those of you who follow Target Club, what do you see on my page? Education, that's what I do, right? But if you scroll down far enough, you see a lot of haircuts. The The reason why there was a lot of haircuts because I needed barbers to trust me first. Oh, he can cut hair. So if there was a plan on how I was going to do social media, right? Currently, I don't even do my social media. I only respond to all my DMs and I reply to every comment that is made on all my posts. I do that personally. I actually have somebody else who takes my content and posts it, and I don't even care what they post. Because the person who posts it for me, they know who I am, they're invested in who I am as a brand, and they know the vision of what I want to put out there, and so they do it, and I pay them, right? But I do respond. I'm the person who answers the questions. Currently, right now, I got a 14-year-old who's editing a lot of my videos. They learned from their dad, who's 38, who posts 39, who posts all my videos. But the like button is 4.2 billion times daily. Millennials are the ones that are on Snapchat and Instagram stories. They're the ones, so stories, people scroll through stories a lot, so you think it's important to put cool stuff in your stories? Right? If you ever check to look at my stories, I got music and art and all kind of cool stuff going on, and then bam, I hit you with an educational video. Right? I put stories, I put something cool, some art, some music, something, and then bam, got a class coming up. Educational stuff, funny stuff, cool stuff, whatever, bam. Anybody see that old lady right now that's on Instagram that she's talking? You know what I'm talking about? The old sister, she's sitting there, she's cursing, but she's funny. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, she's very popular, right? She's just being raw, authentic, and somebody said, I just want to record my grandma because she's crazy. And they're putting it out, and she's getting hits, right? So I don't know how long you've been following me, but you've been for a while. So you remember Jeff Gumprint?
Me?
Yeah. Okay, so I had this dude. Everyone has this guy at the shop if you work in the shop. There's a guy who comes in, something's a little off with him, old school guy, missing teeth, or maybe some ADHD or some sort of mental something, and they come in, but everybody loves him. They got the joke with him, he sweeps up the hair, goes to the store. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't talking about the teenager, I'm talking about the old guy. Yeah. Right? Knows about sports, all that kind of stuff. So I purposefully would record Jeff. Jeff had no teeth in the front, and he called himself Jeff Gumprint. Right? So I would just film him, and he would do quirky, funny stuff, and I was posting them, and it became a thing. People were like, yo, I can't wait to see Jeff tomorrow. Because they knew on Friday I would post them, and on Saturday I would capture him doing stuff in the shop. So my stories always had Jeff. We took the stories and made a page for Jeff. Jeff passed away. We don't have a lot of stories of Jeff anymore. But that old lady reminds me of Jeff. It's just taking the time to capture the content that's going to entertain people. But you have to know what you want your page to be. You have to have an idea of what is it that I want my page to do? What does my audience look like? Who is it that I want to capture while I'm teaching, right? That's important. So if you know that the millennials are watching stories, it's important to watch stories. So engagement happens, and Instagram is still a powerhouse on engagement. So if you take a look at this, we know that Facebook had way more followers and users than Instagram did, right? Look at the audience size on Facebook and the audience on Instagram. Then look at the activity volume. It's the same on Facebook and Instagram, even though the community is much larger on Facebook. The user engagement was much higher on Facebook than it is on Instagram than it is on Facebook, and that's because more people are interactive on Instagram and the stories. Now they have the heart button, they can go comment, they can send you a gift. There's a lot of ways to engage on Instagram. TikTok's a powerhouse because it doesn't have no rules around its algorithm. It's just putting stuff up. So make stuff on TikTok, promote it on Instagram, vice versa. Use all the platforms. Right?
Business or invite people into that environment. So when we're looking at the barbershop setting, we want it to be clean, always. Clippers, clean, always. I go into some barbershops and there's hair on the clippers, there's no clients. Should never happen. So as a barbershop owner and as barbers, you guys should make sure your station is clean, your shop is clean, the bathroom's clean, the waiting area is clean. That should just be a standard across the board. We don't see that a lot. And that's something that we should implement every single business that we have. The next thing would be the communication. So the communication between barbershop owners and barbers, and then barbers and clients. But the communication level has to start between the owner and the barber. So if you guys have a great line of communication, communicating with clients becomes a lot easier. In my barbershop, I tend to hire a lot of students. because those are the type of barbers that I can mold to be the type of barbers I want in my business. But we have to have some type of communication, whether it's body language or just a language that we speak amongst each other. Because I don't want a client to come in my barbershop, sit in your chair, and you're a student, and now they feel uncomfortable because they know you're a student. Or you feel uncomfortable because you know you're a student and you don't think you have the skills and what it takes to do the haircut. But I know in my barbershop, if I look over at one of my barbers, what's your name? Alex, in my barbershop, Alex works in my barbershop. I know if I look at Alex, he gives me this eye contact and he just kind of turns the chair and does like a little head nod. I know he needs me to come over. But having that line of communication sets a standard in the barbershop to where now that client's not uncomfortable. If Alex says, hey Ari, I have no idea what I'm doing here, can you come over? Who's uncomfortable now? The customer. Yeah. But if Alex and I have a line of communication where he can just, give me that look, give me that nod, I'll just come over. Hey Alex, this haircut looks really good. You should try this. That keeps the customer comfortable, and it also keeps you comfortable and calm in that situation.
Yeah. So it doesn't make the client like now think I don't know what I'm doing.
Correct, because as soon as that client leaves, if you told me I don't know what I'm doing, what they gonna do? Yelp. Yeah. Start texting. Went to the barber shop, the barber there had no idea what he was doing, had to call somebody else over. Never go there. That's the type of review you'll get.
Right.
But if we have that line of communication and there's that standard in our barbershop, now the client's gonna go, that barbershop was a great experience, friendly environment, everyone there is so helpful. Correct? So that's where the communication line has to start between barber and barbershop owner and barber. Not only that type of communication, but communication on a daily basis. As a barbershop owner, you gotta set the standard when you hire barbers about the things you require in your barbershop, the things you don't allow in your barbershop, and the things you do allow in your barbershop. For an instance, I cannot go to Walmart and wear my pajamas. They will send me home immediately. But maybe I can walk in this barbershop and wear my pajamas. That should never happen. I can't go to McDonald's and have my pants sagging all the way down to my knees, walking in. They're gonna send me home immediately or tell me to pull my pants up. You go in a barbershop, you might see that at some places. When we go to barber school, the industry standard is to wear all black. We don't see that in barbershops a lot now. We see every flashy Fendi, Gucci belt, Jordan on the foot. Some might have Yeezy slides, Nike slippers, sandals, no socks. It looks very unprofessional. And that's the image we're putting out for our industry, and it's why our industry is looked down upon by a lot of bigger industries. So we want to set that standard. That communication has to be in place. The way we put that communication in place between barbershop owner and barber, what I do in my barbershop is I build contracts for every single barber that comes in my barbershop, whether it's a commission barber or a boothman barber. Boothman barbers, another headache, we get it. We're our own boss, boothman barbers. That's a whole nother conversation. Even though, yes, technically a boothman barber is their own boss, their own entity, you still have to set a standard for the space that you lease out to them. If you go and rent an apartment, your landlord's gonna say, hey, I don't want grills on my porch, no water beds inside my apartment, because that's not the things that they want in their apartment, and that can potentially ruin their space. So when you rent a space out to a boothman, yeah, hey, here you go, you are your own boss, but this is what I am gonna allow in here and what I'm not gonna allow in here. So that eliminates that communication barrier where we're bumping heads. Always contract everything. And as barbers, you wanna make sure you get a contract with everything you do. It's a business. If you're a barber, if you pay booth rent, you're a business. If you're a barber, you're a sole proprietor, or if you have an LLC, you're a business. So when you go and do business with a business owner, you're renting a space, contract that. That keeps that communication line so smooth to where we don't bump heads, because, what's your name? Nate? If Nate says, what's your name? Christian. If Nate says Christian, I expect A, B, C, and D in my business. Are you cool with this? And you say, yeah, A, B, C, D are good, but E, can we work on that? Yeah, let's fill that out, cool. You sign. Now the communication's there. Hey Nate, you told me that you would have clean towels when I came here to work. There's no clean towels. There's something going on here, we have to fix that. It's not, hey, Christian, you didn't wash the towels today, so my barbershop has to be closed because we have no clean towels, you're fired. That happens in a lot of barbershops. You get fired like this for the littlest things, and it's like, why am I being fired? I didn't know I had to do that, or you didn't say that was my job, or when did that become my job? Because you decided as a barbershop owner, that is my job? No. When you have a contract and say, hey Nate, this is what you're supposed to do, not me. And I'm contractually here. I didn't break anything in this contract, and we can move forward. So that communication needs to be set always between barbershop owner and a barber. Same way you have to communicate with your client. So once that communication is set, everybody is moving at the right pace, at the same pace inside a barbershop. When a client walks in, everything looks smooth. Everything is complete. You don't have to worry about this barber competing with that barber or that barber competing with that barber. We see that a lot also. As long as we're all on the same page, we know you're next on the walk-in list, we know your schedule's booked or whatever the case may be, to where it's not like a dog-eat-dog where a client walks in. You walking in, you walking in, you walking in. That's uncomfortable for the client.
What do you do with barbers that are very good?
I don't allow that. My barbers aren't competitive because, like I said, I build a family vibe to where it's like we all understand each other, and then we have a booking app, so we know who's next on the walk-in list. You know what I mean?
I've seen like most of the time I do see usually the shops of all the barbers going along and helping each other out, but I have seen a couple occasions where barbers go head to head.
Barbers go head to head in barbershops where there's a bad line of communication.
Yeah.
So
and one of them usually walks or something like that.
absolutely, and that tends to happen because if I have the mindset to where I can do whatever I want in this barbershop because Nate didn't tell me what I couldn't do, guess what? I'm gonna do what I want in this barbershop, and if I don't want you to get any haircuts, you won't. Because as soon as he walks through the door, I got you, man. You walking in? Yeah, come on. And it's like, well, dang, I haven't cut, and you cut the last 4 people, but there's no line of communication. I don't have to let you cut anybody. What does it matter to me? But if he said, when we hired you, this is a walk-in schedule, and this is what's gonna take place. This is what you're signing, and this is what we're gonna do in my barbershop. I'm setting the standard. This is what I want for my business. Guess what? I know if he walks in and I just cut the last cut, you cut the next one. I'm gonna say, hey, what's going on, man? You need a haircut today? He got you. And we're not seeing that because to the customer that looks absolutely insane. And you've seen it.
Yeah.
Do you work in a barbershop like that now?
No.
Still a student.
Still a student.
Cool. Anybody?
Style competition coming up next. If you want to be a part of that competition, make sure you sign up at the front. The judges are deliberating. Go ahead, DJ, hit it up one time. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. ready for Corey Clippers. You know, I think he knows a little something about that barber life. Corey Clippers, can you please report to the stage?
Hey guys, so we just finished the convention. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of new things here. And I got some new products. A little clipper guy, keychain. So I'm waiting for my ride, and then we'll be headed back to the hotel room.